All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I don't have a pair deck for you today. I mean, it's the same one that we used last time, so I just didn't start it up. But just as a reminder, we're working on Unit 4, Lesson 7, um, and we're basically going through the puzzles that have to do with conditionals and practicing the stuff that we learned in the previous lesson to debug some programs. So again, looking for syntax errors and logic errors. And we left off on puzzle number 7 in lesson 7. And so if you would like to try to work along with me, there is the link to that specific puzzle. I told you all to give it a try after I saw you last on Friday. So hopefully a few of you gave that a try to kind of try to solve on your own. Did anyone give it a try or um, did you just relax this weekend? Totally fine if you relaxed this weekend and didn't give it a try. We can solve it together. Hey Jorge, how you doing? So we are over here working on puzzle number 7. So let's go ahead and jog our memories about what this one was all about. So basically built on the previous star apps that we looked at, where we basically want to change the color of the star based on the number of clicks that we've done on the star. And so there's a nice little table here that indicates the color that it should change to based on the number of clicks. And if we take a look at the code right now, if the clicks is less than 5, um, that means that it's going to be red. And that kind of goes along with the table. It's not going to be red when it's 0 because the click starts at 0 and it's only going to enter this code, this event handler, when we click. So you'll notice that when I start this, the clicks is 0, it's going to be black. When I click on it once, then it's going to enter the event handler. And at that point, the number of clicks is going to be at least 1. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a comment here, right here. So this if is basically going to be true when I have 1 to 4 clicks, right? It's not going to happen when it's 0 because, again, if I haven't clicked on this yet, the event handler is not going to fire. And then how about this one, this next one right here? What is this going to be true for? If I get down to here, this else if right here, what numbers will this be true for? What'd you think? So it says clicks is less than 10. So how many clicks for what number of clicks will that be true? Give me a number range. I didn't sleep well either. 5 to 9. Why 5 to 9, Justin? And not 1 to 9, for example. Why 5 to 9? Explain that to me. I mean, you're correct. But why? Why are you correct? Or anyone other than Justin? Yeah, the last code covers 1 through 4. So if the number is 1 through 4, this is going to be true. The only case that will make it down here is if this is false. So if the number is 5 or higher, right? So this is only going to evaluate. It's only going to check it if the number of clicks is 5 or higher. And so it can only be true for the numbers 5 through 9. Once we get to 10, this is now going to be false. Okay, cool. So that actually checks out for the table we have as well. If we have 5 to 9 clicks, we want the star to be orange. So far the code is going pretty well for us. And then we have an else clause. So we're going to skip to the bottom of the table. So basically, if the number's any higher, it's going to set the star to pink. So our job is to add in some code that's going to cover all of these cases. So what do I want to add? Do you want to do it in block or do you want to do it in text-based? What do you all want to do? Block or text? Some people might prefer block. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Let's do that. Let's go to block. And so again, in order, we can look at this animated GIF right here. If we want to add more conditions, we can just press this plus button. So I need how many more conditions? I need these. So it looks like I need about 4. I need exactly 4 more conditions. So I'm going to press this plus button 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now notice that that shifted up this line of code to an else if. But since this is my last condition where I want to, or the last thing I want to happen, that I want to set my star to pink if all the other conditions are false, I want to go ahead and make sure I drag this back down, just like the animated GIF shows me. I want to put this in my else. So now what I'm going to go ahead and worry about is these 4 conditions right here in the table where it tells me what colors to change the star to. So the first one I see is I want to change the star to yellow when the number of clicks is 10 to 14. Now, thinking about what Justin said, if I look at the previous conditions over here, I can see that the only way that I'm going to get to this else if is if the number is 10 or higher, right? Because this will be false and this will be false. And so that's the only reason it would come down here. So I don't have to worry about the starting number. I just need to worry about the ending number, the higher number. So I want to check to see if clicks is less than the number that is 1 bigger than my maximum here. So I want to check to see if my clicks is less than 15. Okay. And if that's true, what color do I want to change my star to? I want to change it to yellow, yes. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I know you wanted to work in blocks, but sometimes text mode turns out to be easier. I'm just going to copy this block right here. Copy. Go back down to here. So again, Control C to copy, and then Control V to paste it on the line that you want. So I'm pasting it right here in my new else if. Then I can show blocks, and now all I want to do is I want to change this color now to yellow. And you actually see it right here, so you can go ahead and select that. Awesome. So now once I have the number of clicks being 10 through 14, I should see my star change to yellow. Okay, cool. We'll test this at the end. Usually I'd like to test with every little change, but let's just keep going for now, and then we'll test all of it at the end. See how it goes. Okay, what do I want to put for my next condition? So looking at this part right here, how am I going to check to see if my number of clicks is the correct number in order to turn the star to green? What conditional do I want to put here? On line 20. So take a look. Yeah, so if I take a look at the previous example, I can see that I don't have to check for my lower number, right? I don't have to check to see if I'm at 15, because I know if I get over here, I know that the number of clicks is going to be 15 or higher. So now I just want to check to see if I'm within the range at the upper bound. So I want to make sure that my number of clicks is lower than the next level, which is 20. So I want to see, is my number of clicks less than 20? And if that's true, I want to go ahead and, again, I just pasted that line in there. I want to change the color now to green. Now, I don't think green is on here. Oh, it is. But if it weren't, I could just type in the name of the color. So I'm just going to go ahead and select green. All right, what about my next one? So I'm looking at the case where the color of the star is going to change to blue. So if I look, if I look at the next highest number for violet, I know I want to be lower than that number. So I'm going to say else if clicks is less than 25. And then if that is true, I want to go ahead and change my star's color to blue. And again, I'm just pasting that line in there and then changing the parameter, the color parameter, to the correct one, which is blue. Awesome. All right, one more. What's the last else if? So the case for this one right here. Yeah, we want to check to see if the number of clicks is less than 30. So clicks is less than 30. And if that's true, we want to go ahead and change the star's color to violet. That one I don't think is on here. So we're just going to type that in. So I'm going to delete orange and type in violet. Cool. And then if all of those are false, it means that we have a number of clicks that is 30 or higher. So it's going to go into this else clause right here. And the color of the star is going to be pink. So let's go ahead and test it out. So looking at the chart, I know I should start at black for 0. And then red should be through for clicks 1 through 4. So there's 4. And then as soon as I get to 5, it should be orange. And then that should remain orange until 9 clicks. And then it should be yellow for 10 through 14. Okay, we're at 14. And then green for 15 to 19. And then blue for 20 through 24. And then for 25 to 29, it should be violet. Okay, that looks kind of pink to me, but I think that's violet. 28, 29, and then 30 should be pink. Okay, yeah, that is a different color. Okay, yeah, so it looks good. And then it's gonna stay pink because from here on out, it's gonna be 30 or greater. All right, any questions on that one? So notice how I didn't come in here and take set property blocks. I could have done that, but I kind of took a shortcut and I came in, I think maybe you can, I don't know if you can actually copy this block. I usually go to text mode, highlight what I want, and then copy it by pressing Control C or Command C on a Mac. And then you can actually paste whether you're in block mode or text mode. It's just a little easier than trying to find the block and changing each little part. When you have repeated code that just has one thing that changes, it's easier just to copy it and then make that one change. So that's what I did there. But if you're more comfortable just working completely in blocks, know that you could just drag this over, find star, find icon color, and then find the right color. But I did not do that. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Yes, I do too. So the reason why, and so the comment in the chat is that for the color, I have the yellow warning or error because it said it hasn't been declared. So this one right here, is this the same one you have, Clarence? Yeah. So the reason that this is happening is because an on event is technically a function. And the compiler, which is this little workspace thing, is going to check to see if your code calls every function that you put in here. And what that means is it's looking for a place in the code that actually calls this event by name. But that's not how event handlers actually work. They just kind of listen for a particular event. And so it's a yellow warning because it's not a for sure error. It's just saying, something looks a little funky because I'm not seeing this function being called. But it's totally fine. So it's actually looking for this function called event that gets put in here. But don't worry about it. It's an advanced concept known as an anonymous function, and anonymous functions don't actually get called. They just kind of like are there. So yeah, don't worry. You'll always see that on your event handlers. Okay, good question though. Yeah. All right. Any other questions before we move on to the next one? And again, if you missed any step, don't worry. This is being recorded and you can always go back and see what was done. Okay, so if you're working along with me, you can go ahead and press finish at this point. And we're gonna go ahead and look at this other one, which again has our friendly star buddy. So in this one, it says we need to debug something. The star never turns orange. So before I do what they're saying here, let's go ahead and test this out. So I see that it turns red due to this right here, red. So it's going to be red from 1 to 4, and then it should be yellow. Oh, okay. So I see what's going on. So this should follow the same progression as the one on the last screen, but then there's an order problem here. If you notice, remember how when we're working with conditionals, we want to start with the most specific case and then work our way down. So in other words, we want to start maybe from the smallest number and work our way up, or start from the largest number and work our way down. But what do you notice about the sequence of these? Are our numbers constantly getting bigger in a sequential manner? Looking at the number of clicks in these expressions? Or is there something that looks out of place? Yeah, why do I want to change 15 and 10? So I see it starts at 5, goes to 15, then to 10, then to 20, then to 25. That throws off of a pattern, right? We want to go from, in this case, we want to go from the smallest. We want to check this for the smallest value and work our way up to the largest value. Here we've got things turned around, right? 10 is smaller than 15, so really we should be checking for that first. So let's go ahead and switch those. In this case, it might be, you know what, I'll stay in blocks since last time I went into text mode. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take this one, I'm gonna swap it, I'm gonna put it right on top. Oh, see, this is why I wanted to go into text mode. I lied. Let's go back to text mode. This is going to be easier to solve in text mode. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm checking to see if my clicks is less than 10 before I check to see if my clicks is less than 15. So I'm going to take from, let's do it this way. Let's go ahead and just, yeah, from this closing curly all the way to the other closing curly. I think that's what I want to do. Yeah, let's do it like that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do it from the else if. Just thinking of the neatest way to do this. So I'm going to cut this, and that's Control C. Okay, so that's gone. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it right before this line. See the else if clicks is less than 15. And then I'm going to paste what I just cut. I'm going to do Control V. There. See how nicely that maintained the kind of the structure and the formatting of my code? So now if I go back to blocks, now I can see the number is getting sequentially higher, the number that I'm checking for. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. You want to make sure that when you are doing, when you're checking values like this, you want to go from either the smallest to the highest or the highest to the lowest. You don't want to be kind of oscillating or switching between high, low, because then the logic's not going to work out. So let's test this out. Now we should have black and then red from 1 to 4. And then we should get our orange color from 5 to 9. And then we should get yellow. So that's all we had to do. As Clarence said, we just had to switch the checks for click is less than 15 and clicks is less than 10. We wanted to check to see if it was less than 10 before we checked to see if it was less than 15. Because otherwise we'd be skipping this case and we'd never see the orange color. It's a great job on that. That there was a logic error because it didn't break the code, but it did do something we did not intend. So if you were working along with me on that one, you could go ahead and click finish. And now let's take a look at this next one. So number 9. All right, number 9. Some conditional statements can be written as Boolean expressions. So Boolean expressions are like these little orange things right here, right? And vice versa. Run the code and look at the first example. Write the conditional statement for the Boolean expression. Okay, let's run the code. Running it. Okay, so it looks like it prints out some stuff to the log. So let's see what's going on here. Okay, so we've got this variable called y, and it has the number 8 inside. And then variable x has this Boolean expression inside. It says y is less than 8. So what that's really evaluating is what? So we see 8 is inside of y, so this is really evaluating 8 is less than 6. Is that true or false? Is 8 less than 6? That's false, right? So the value inside of x is actually this Boolean value. So x is false. So when I print out x to my console, I'm going to see false, which is what I see right here. The first line of my console says false. That's because of line 5. That's why I'm seeing that there. Okay, so let's take a look at the rest of the code. Clear. There we go. So now I'm going to take a look at line 7, the chunk starting at line 7. So let's see, y is still 8. So again, they're trying to say that you can put this Boolean expression inside of a conditional as well. So this is saying if 8 is less than 6, and we know that's false, then we're going to assign x to be true. But it's false, right? We already said this is false. So what I like to do when I'm tracing through conditionals like this, especially like on test questions, is if something's false, I'll actually cross out the line that does not get executed. So since this is false, we're not going to execute line 8. Instead, we're going to jump over to the else and execute this. So now what it's doing is it's assigning x to be false. It was already false, but it's just reassigning x to be false again. So x is false right now. Okay, so have that in your memory. I'm going to clear that so I can scroll down. So x right now is false. And let's scroll down. And we're going to print out whatever's in x again. So that means we're going to print out, you guessed it, we're going to print out false again. And this is the second line that we print out in this program, which is right here. And again, you can see that false was printed out. So that's the line that takes care of that, is line 12 is where that's happening. Okay, cool. Um, Now let's look at the rest of the code and see what that does. Example number 2. Okay, it looks like that we're gonna have to add some code here too, but let's see what it does so far. So it says A is 3, B is gonna get the result of this Boolean expression. So since A is 3, what this is really evaluating is 3 greater than 2. Is that true or false? That's true. So that means B is going to get assigned the Boolean value true. So inside of B, if we were to look inside of memory, we would see the value true, the Boolean value true. So that's why on line 18, when we print out B, we see true, right? That's the third thing that gets printed out. All right, cool. So that's all nice and interesting. Now let's see what they want us to add to our code. And I think that's the last thing that we'll do. So what they want us to do, it's a little confusing. It's a little bit of a weird ask, but they want us to do something like here. They want us to do something like this, but for that second example. So that we need to pull in an if-else statement for our first plan of attack. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me bring this up. So I'm going to bring an if-else statement, and I can get that from the blue right here, the blue toolbox. And I'm going to drag that at the bottom. Okay. Now all I have to do, if I look at the previous example, all I did was copy the Boolean expression from the top into the if. So I'm going to look at this Boolean expression for the second example. So the Boolean here is A is greater than 2. So I'm going to write that right in my if. A is greater than 2. Press enter and then it'll turn orange if you're in block mode. And then what we want to do is we want to basically do exactly what they have here. If it's true, then we want to assign not X to be true, but in this case, for example number 2, B is going to be true. Okay, so how do we do that in block mode? We want to go to the purple section and find not this first one, not the second one, but the third one. So this one right here is the version where the variable has already been declared. We don't want the VAR part because you can see on line 17, B has already been declared. We just need to reassign it a new value. So I'm going to click and drag this over. And again, the variable name is B. So I want to make sure to change that X to a B. And then if this if is true, I want to make sure that true gets assigned, or B gets assigned to true. And if it's not, I know I'm going to go down to the else, so I'm going to assign B to be false. So I'm going to drag one of these in again. And again, this example is kind of weird because it doesn't have, I don't know why you would want to do this. It's just trying to say that you can convey the same kind of idea, I guess. But I don't think this is that helpful of an example because it's not like a real world example that actually does anything cool. But this is what they're asking you to do. And then finally, we want to print out B again. So I'm going to get a console.log and then print out the value of B. So ultimately, what we want to see here is that when I run this, there's going to be a fourth line that runs, and it should be equivalent to the third line because it's saying that the conditional block is the same thing as just running this Boolean variable here. So we should see false, false, true, true when I run this. So let's go ahead and try that. And we do indeed see that. Cool. So again, if you were working with me on that, you can press finish. And we still do have 2 more exercises, and then you've got your check for understanding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create just a asynchronous video for these last 2 for you to do between now and next week. And then you can do the check for understanding on your own. Again, this is a check for understanding, so I don't care if you get it correct or incorrect. I just want you to try it, okay? And then, yeah, that's about it. So remember, let me pause the recording.